In the realm of demographic trends, few phenomena have captured the attention of researchers and policymakers as much as the persistent decline in fertility rates across developed nations. The United States, once known for its robust birth rates, now finds itself grappling with a stark reality. In 2023, the total fertility rate plummeted to a mere 1.62 children per woman. This figure, the lowest on record, stands in sharp contrast to the 3.6 children per woman observed in 1960. The implications of this demographic shift extend far beyond the borders of the United States. Across the globe, wealthy nations are experiencing similar trends, prompting a reevaluation of long-held assumptions about population growth and societal stability. The replacement rate of 2.1 children per woman, necessary to maintain a stable population, now seems like a distant goal for many countries. This precipitous decline raises fundamental questions about the future of developed societies. How will nations adapt to aging populations and shrinking workforces? What factors are driving this widespread reluctance to have children? And perhaps most pressingly, can this trend be reversed? Conventional wisdom has long suggested that increased financial support from governments could serve as a panacea for low birth rates. The logic seems straightforward: reduce the economic burden of raising children, and more people will choose to become parents. However, as we delve deeper into the data and examine the experiences of various countries, it becomes clear that the relationship between economic incentives and fertility rates is far more complex than initially assumed. To truly understand the nuances of this global phenomenon, we must look beyond simplistic explanations and explore the interplay of economic, social, and cultural factors that shape individual decisions about parenthood. As we embark on this exploration, we'll examine not only the statistics that illustrate the scope of the problem, but also the human stories that lie behind these numbers. The concept of replacement rate fertility, 2.1 children per woman, serves as a crucial benchmark in demographic studies. This rate represents the number of children each woman needs to have, on average, to maintain a stable population size from one generation to the next. The current U.S. fertility rate of 1.62 falls significantly short of this threshold, indicating a population that is not naturally replenishing itself. This decline in fertility is accompanied by a notable increase in childlessness. In 2018, more than 1 in 7 women aged 40 to 44 had no biological children, a stark contrast to the 1 in 10 observed in 1976. This shift suggests a fundamental change in how individuals and couples approach family planning and life choices. To gain insight into the attitudes driving these trends, we turn to a recent Pew Research Center report. The findings are striking. 47% of American adults younger than 50 stated they are unlikely to ever have children. This represents a significant 10 percentage point increase from 2018 to 2023, indicating a rapidly evolving perspective on parenthood among younger generations. These statistics paint a picture of a society in transition where traditional assumptions about family formation are being challenged and redefined. The reasons behind this shift are multifaceted, ranging from economic considerations to changing social norms and personal values. One might assume that financial constraints are the primary driver of this trend. Indeed, the cost of raising children in the United States has risen steadily over the past few decades, with expenses related to healthcare, education, and childcare often cited as major deterrents to parenthood. However, as we delve deeper into the data, we find that these economic explanations, while intuitively appealing, may not tell the whole story. Mainstream discourse often attributes declining birth rates to a host of financial constraints. High childcare costs, lack of comprehensive parental leave policies, and the well-documented wage penalty for mothers are frequently cited as major deterrents to parenthood. The logic behind these arguments seems sound at first glance. If the cost of raising children is prohibitively high, then surely reducing these financial barriers would lead to an increase in fertility rates. This line of thinking aligns with economic theories popularized by scholars such as Gary Becker, who posited that household decisions, including those related to fertility, could be analyzed through an economic lens. According to Becker's framework, children can be viewed as a type of consumer good, subject to the same cost-benefit analysis as other major life decisions. By this logic, making children cheaper through government subsidies, tax breaks, or other financial incentives should naturally lead to an increase in birth rates. Yet, when we examine the empirical evidence, we find that the relationship between economic factors and fertility rates is far more complex than these theories suggest. Countries with generous family policies and robust social safety nets have not been immune to the trend of declining birth rates. This observation raises important questions about the limitations of purely economic explanations for fertility decline. To fully understand the nuances of this phenomenon, we must look beyond national borders and consider the experiences of other developed nations. By examining global comparisons, we can begin to challenge the assumption that economic incentives alone are sufficient to reverse the trend of declining fertility rates. In fact, data from countries with generous family policies suggests that economic support alone may not be effective in raising fertility rates. A comprehensive examination of OECD countries reveals a startling trend. All member nations, with the sole exception of Israel, have fallen below the replacement fertility rate of 2.1 children per woman. This phenomenon is particularly evident in South Korea, a country that has invested heavily in pronatal policies. Despite allocating over $200 billion to such initiatives over a 16-year period, South Korea witnessed a 25% drop in its fertility rate. This stark decline, in the face of substantial financial investment, challenges the notion that economic incentives are the primary driver of fertility decisions. France, often lauded for its family-friendly policies, provides another compelling case study. Among OECD countries, France allocates the highest percentage of its GDP to family policies. These measures include generous parental leave, subsidized childcare, and various financial incentives for families. Yet, despite these extensive efforts, France recently recorded its lowest birth rate since World War II, a development that has left policymakers and demographers puzzled. Perhaps most surprising are the trends observed in Nordic countries, long considered bastions of progressive family policies and work-life balance. Sweden, Norway, Denmark, and Finland have established comprehensive welfare states with extensive parental leave policies and robust social support systems. These nations have historically been viewed as models for fostering family-friendly environments. However, even these countries are experiencing sharp declines in fertility rates, defying expectations and challenging long-held assumptions about the relationship between social support and childbearing decisions. The consistent decline in fertility rates across countries with vastly different economic policies and social structures suggests that financial incentives alone are insufficient to reverse this trend. This realization has prompted researchers and policymakers to look beyond purely economic explanations and consider other factors that might be influencing individuals' decisions about parenthood. One emerging theory posits that there may be an underlying cause related to a deep, unquantifiable human need for meaning. While policy shifts aimed at making life easier for parents are undoubtedly valuable, they have not significantly improved fertility rates. This observation has led some experts to suggest that broader existential concerns may be at play, transcending financial considerations and government subsidies. Indeed, when individuals cite reasons for delaying or foregoing parenthood, they often mention factors beyond economic constraints. Climate change, political instability, and the potential for global conflict frequently emerge as concerns. However, beneath these specific worries lies a more fundamental uncertainty about the value of life itself and a search for a compelling reason for being. This existential quandary appears to be a significant factor influencing fertility decisions, one that transcends economic considerations and policy interventions. The concept of meaning as a driving force in human behavior is not new, but its application to fertility trends offers a fresh perspective on the demographic challenges facing developed nations. When individuals lack a clear sense of purpose or struggle to find meaning in their lives, the perceived challenges of having children may outweigh any governmental subsidies or financial incentives. This shift in focus from purely economic explanations to more existential concerns aligns with observations from sociologists and psychologists who have long studied the impact of meaning on human decision making. The idea that people need a sense of purpose to thrive is well established, but its relevance to fertility decisions has been underexplored until recently. Consider the myriad ways in which modern life has altered our perception of meaning and purpose. Technological advancements, while offering unprecedented convenience and connectivity, have also led to increased isolation and a sense of disconnection from traditional sources of meaning. Rapid social changes have disrupted long-standing cultural norms and values, leaving many individuals adrift in a sea of uncertainty. In this context, the decision to have children takes on new dimensions. Parenthood, once viewed as a natural and expected part of adult life, now competes with a multitude of other potential sources of fulfillment and meaning. Career advancement, personal growth, travel, and other pursuits often take precedence over starting a family, particularly when the broader societal narrative fails to provide a compelling argument for the intrinsic value of parenthood. Moreover, the global challenges facing humanity, climate change, political polarization, economic inequality, can create a sense of pessimism about the future. This pessimism may lead potential parents to question whether bringing children into the world is a responsible or ethical choice. Without a strong countervailing narrative that emphasizes the inherent worth and potential of human life, these concerns can become overwhelming. The role of meaning in fertility decisions becomes even more apparent when we examine the experiences of individuals and communities that have maintained higher birth rates. Often, these groups share a strong sense of purpose, whether derived from religious beliefs, cultural traditions, or a deeply held conviction about the value of family and community. This observation suggests that addressing the fertility decline may require more than economic incentives. It may necessitate a broader cultural shift that reaffirms the meaning and purpose inherent in parenthood. To explore this perspective further, we turn to two recent books that offer unique insights into the complex decision-making process surrounding fertility choices. Catherine Ruth Pakaluk's Hannah's Children presents a qualitative study based on interviews with 55 women across the United States who have 5 or more children. This demographic, increasingly rare in modern America, provides a window into a worldview that stands in stark contrast to prevailing trends. Pakaluk's research reveals a common thread among these women, a shared belief that children are an unqualified good and that raising them imbues life with positive meaning. The women in Pakaluk's study express a profound sense of purpose derived from their role as mothers. They view each child not as an economic burden or a limitation on personal freedom, but as a unique blessing that enriches their lives and contributes to the broader community. This perspective challenges the notion that large families are primarily the result of religious doctrine or lack of access to family planning resources. Instead, it suggests that for some individuals, the decision to have multiple children is rooted in a deeply held conviction about the intrinsic value of human life and the fulfillment found in nurturing the next generation. In contrast, What Are Children For? By Anastasia Berg and Rachel Wiseman takes a more philosophical approach to the question of fertility. The authors explore the fundamental question of whether having children is worth it, delving into the anxiety and ambivalence that often surrounds this decision in contemporary society. Berg and Wiseman acknowledge the myriad challenges of parenthood, the sleepless nights, the financial strain, the career sacrifices, while also probing the potential rewards and sources of meaning that children can bring to one's life. Their work touches on the existential quandaries faced by many potential parents. In a world fraught with uncertainty and seemingly insurmountable global challenges, is it responsible or ethical to bring new life into existence? How does one weigh the personal desire for children against concerns about overpopulation or climate change? These questions reflect the complex interplay of individual aspirations, societal expectations, and global considerations that shape fertility decisions in the modern era. Despite their differing approaches and focuses, both Hannah's Children and What Are Children For? Converge on a crucial point: Current political strategies aimed at boosting fertility rates are missing a vital element. While economic support and family-friendly policies are undoubtedly important, these books suggest that such measures alone are insufficient to address the underlying factors driving the fertility decline. The authors argue that what is needed is a deeper certainty in the value of life itself and a renewed appreciation for the unique contributions that children make to individual and societal well-being. This perspective challenges policymakers and social scientists to look beyond purely economic models of fertility and consider the role of meaning, purpose, and existential fulfillment in shaping reproductive choices. The insights offered by these books raise important questions about the limitations of current approaches to addressing low fertility rates. If, as Pakaluk's research suggests, women who choose to have large families are motivated by a sincere belief in the inherent goodness of life and the value of children, how can society foster similar convictions on a broader scale? Conversely, if the ambivalence explored by Berg and Wiseman reflects widespread uncertainty about the meaning and purpose of parenthood, what cultural shifts might be necessary to address these existential concerns? The role of meaning in fertility decisions extends beyond individual psychology to encompass broader cultural and societal factors. In many developed nations, traditional sources of meaning, such as religious institutions, close-knit communities, and shared cultural narratives, have weakened or disappeared entirely. This erosion of cultural frameworks has left many individuals adrift, struggling to find a sense of purpose or direction in their lives. For some, this existential uncertainty manifests as a reluctance to bring children into a world perceived as chaotic, unpredictable, or even hostile. Environmental concerns, particularly anxiety about climate change and its potential impacts on future generations, often feature prominently in discussions about fertility choices. Similarly, political instability and the specter of global conflict can make the prospect of parenthood seem daunting or irresponsible. Yet, as Pakaluk's study demonstrates, there are individuals and communities who maintain a strong sense of purpose and meaning, often rooted in religious or cultural traditions that emphasize the value of family and community. These women view additional children not as economic burdens or obstacles to personal fulfillment, but as blessings that enrich their lives and contribute to a greater good. This stark contrast in perspectives raises important questions about the role of cultural narratives and shared values in shaping fertility decisions. While government policies can provide practical support for parents, they may struggle to address the deeper, more intangible factors that influence an individual's desire to have children. Joy, purpose, and a sense of contributing to something greater than oneself are powerful motivators that cannot be easily quantified or legislated. Robert F. Kennedy famously remarked that gross national product measures everything except that which makes life worthwhile. In a similar vein, current approaches to addressing fertility decline may be overlooking crucial aspects of human experience that contribute to the decision to have children. The challenge for policymakers and society at large is to find ways to foster a sense of meaning and purpose that extends beyond material considerations. This is not to suggest that economic factors are irrelevant. Financial stability and access to resources undoubtedly play a role in fertility decisions. However, the persistent decline in birth rates across countries with vastly different economic policies suggests that material support alone is insufficient to reverse the trend. Instead, a more holistic approach may be necessary, one that addresses both the practical challenges of raising children and the deeper existential questions that shape individuals' life choices. This could involve efforts to strengthen community ties, promote intergenerational connections, and create cultural narratives that emphasize the value and potential of human life. Ultimately, the decision to have children is deeply personal, influenced by a complex interplay of factors, ranging from economic considerations to philosophical beliefs. Yet, as society grapples with the implications of declining fertility rates, it becomes increasingly clear that fostering a sense of meaning and purpose may be just as crucial as providing financial incentives or practical support. The challenge lies in finding ways to cultivate this sense of meaning on a societal level without infringing on individual autonomy or imposing a single worldview. It requires a delicate balance between addressing practical concerns and nurturing the intangible aspects of human experience that make life and parenthood feel worthwhile. As we consider the implications of these insights for policy and society, it becomes evident that traditional approaches to boosting fertility rates may need to be re-evaluated. If, as our exploration suggests, the decline in fertility is indeed linked to a broader loss of meaning or purpose, then government-based solutions alone may prove insufficient. The challenge lies in addressing the deeper, more existential questions that individuals grapple with when contemplating parenthood. Those debating whether to have children often seek a fundamental certainty, an assurance that life is inherently good and that support will be available if needed. While government policies can provide practical assistance, the more profound assurances about life's value and meaning may need to come from other sources. This realization raises complex questions about the role of government in fostering societal well-being. How can public policy address issues of meaning and purpose without overstepping boundaries or imposing values? Can economic incentives ever truly compensate for a lack of existential fulfillment? Robert F. Kennedy's observation about the limitations of GDP as a measure of societal progress becomes particularly relevant in this context. Just as economic indicators fail to capture that which makes life worthwhile, so too might our current approaches to addressing fertility decline be overlooking crucial aspects of human experience. The irony is that meaning often emerges from circumstances that governments typically seek to prevent or mitigate. Crises, shared struggles, and cultural norms that evolve organically over time can all contribute to a sense of purpose and belonging. These are precisely the types of experiences that are difficult, if not impossible, to manufacture through policy initiatives. Moreover, the sources of meaning vary widely among individuals and communities. What provides a sense of purpose for one person may be entirely different for another. This diversity of experience further complicates attempts to address fertility decline through broad, one-size-fits-all policies. As we conclude this exploration of fertility trends and their underlying causes, we are left with a provocative question. What if the key to understanding and potentially reversing fertility decline lies not in economics or policy, but in our collective search for meaning and purpose in life? This perspective challenges us to think beyond traditional demographic models and consider the broader cultural and existential factors that shape individual and societal choices. It suggests that addressing fertility decline may require a multifaceted approach that goes beyond economic incentives to engage with deeper questions of human fulfillment and societal values. The path forward is far from clear, but it is evident that any comprehensive strategy to address fertility decline must grapple with these complex issues. As policymakers, researchers, and society at large continue to navigate this demographic challenge, the insights gained from examining the role of meaning in fertility decisions may prove invaluable in shaping more effective and holistic approaches. Ultimately, the question of fertility is not just about numbers or economic stability. It is about the fundamental choices that shape individual lives and the future of our societies. By recognizing the profound role that meaning and purpose play in these decisions, we may be better equipped to create environments where the choice to have children is seen not as a burden, but as a source of fulfillment and a contribution to a shared future.